Been jamming, back with my third Dark Soul character ever. I've only played the first Dark Souls Remastered. And the third character, I decided to get into Archery. Dexterity-based character, curved swords, katanas, and mainly the bow. I found that most situations, the bow was a viable solution, but it's a little bit wonky in Dark Souls, especially when the enemy's getting close. And if you want to switch weapons, it can get confusing because of the queuing of switching your weapons. So if you can push the switch weapon button, and it doesn't switch weapons then because it's queued up, it's in the middle of another action, you might think in the heat of the moment, oh, it didn't switch, so you'll press the switch button again. So in the end, you'll have switched twice, and you'll be back with the weapon you started with. Here are the end stats for the archer at the new game. So this is where he ended up going, ultimately, with the 42 dexterity. I came to realize at 40 it had pretty much soft cap, so I stopped putting points into that. Usually gave him the wolf ring so he could have better poise. When I got the eagle ring, I was using that a lot, so I had the wolf and the eagle ring. It just seemed meaningful. Vitality and endurance running together at the same 35. Using those curved swords, those katanas with the mini swings, you want to not run out of endurance in the middle of a flurry. Here we are taking on a boss. Going for those headshots on his little alligator dong there for the extra damage. As soon as I got the longbow in Darkroot, I let go of the shortbow because I knew the longbow was objectively better, except for firing rate. I did not realize the shortbow had a fast firing rate, so I didn't end up. Actually, I ended up eventually getting a composite bow, and finding that faster fire rate, close quarters, to be invaluable. But I went a good portion of the game with the slower firing bow. Yeah, well, that's the way I got used to it. So when I got the fast bow, that was a total luxury, composite. And eventually got the black bow of Ferris, which took me the whole game to upgrade to be nearly as good as the longbow. So I ended up using that till the end game and New Game Plus. And here using the longbow against a large enemy. And I didn't know he could reach that far. Working on distance here. And you can see where this would have played out different if I was using a faster firing bow. For a little while, I liked the way this Balder helm he's wearing, the Balder helmet, looked from the back. But once I started having a hard time with the game, I started associating seeing the back of that helmet with misery and suffering. Got rid of it. Now, whenever I had an opportunity to just pelt an enemy with arrows because they were stuck or just not aggroing, I took it. Because I had plenty of challenges elsewhere, and I had already gone through at least most of the game with two other characters already. A pure strength warrior, finished the game on that, and a Pyromancer, which is still stuck in the DLC, Artorias of the Abyss, is both the Dragon Calamite and Manus were proving very difficult for the Pyromancer. Maybe because I was using my left hand for Pyromancy, and I want to go back and use the right so I can use a shield. I saw somebody using Pyromancy on their left hand, and before I made a Pyromancer, and I just kind of took that as the way to do it. But I ought to have just chosen my own way, and it probably would have been the right hand. So, yeah. One odd thing about the manual aiming in Dark Souls is the fine adjustments of your targeting reticule seem to follow the same sensitivity patterns of your walk. There's a large area of the joystick movement where you'll only be walking. It's probably to help you, to make sure it's easy for you to walk so you don't fall off ledges. But that also applies to when you're targeting, like in manually like that. You have to give it quite a push before it will register at all, before it'll move. So it means the fine tune, the finer adjustments do not require fine joystick movement. Now, I knew this was going to be a real shooting gallery coming in here with the bow. In fact, it could easily get out of hand if you let it spawn too many mini-me's, because that'll be pelting you with fireballs while you're drawing your bowstring. I got really comfortable with the archery fast as far as the distance and the movement from a lot of shooter games. And even Skyrim, of course, the bow in Skyrim is makes a lot more sense than this one. One of my biggest heartaches with the Dark Souls bow is when you're scoped in, you can roll, but you can't pretty much do anything else. And that's very counterintuitive because you expect to be taken out of your scope when you like press other buttons, switch weapon. Usually you just want to switch my weapon, and I'll also be trying to block with the bow. You know, I'll think I'll have my shield out because I'll have pressed the shield button to switch to shield. And it didn't register because I'll have been zoomed in. So, basically something like that. Anyway, I'll be trying to block, and instead I'll zoom in with the bow, and that has a whole lot of my deaths with the archer were from problems with the scoping and having the wrong weapon equipped because of an accident, or not being able to block when I thought I had my shield out. This is, I decided to take these guys on a little closer than you can take them on, because they were still aggroing at the maximum distance, and it was just a lot easier to hit the shot up close. This guy almost knocks me off. Right there. He almost hit me. Well, it probably would have knocked me off. But, yeah, found my own way of dispatching them, my own positions. As far as what I've seen on YouTube, there's all kinds of solutions for those guys. You can make up your own solution. And we'll be back here later with a different kind of bow to practice on these bosses. I died to Smalgan Company once before with the Archer, but on this run, this is the first time I faced them without calling in Solitaire. I had never fought them alone, which is a completely different strategy, of course, but all of the pillars in the room make a lot more sense as far as usability. With the Powermancer and the Warrior, I had Solitaire, and pretty much the fight just all kind of happened in one place, kind of near where you come in. And they were pretty easy. But this was a proper challenge. It wasn't unfair, it wasn't excruciating, but it wasn't at all easy. And I don't know, the bow made it even less of a challenge, or if this would, like by yourself, I don't know if it's harder with a bow or if it would have been harder running right in with a greatsword guy. But as I said before, I don't mind just sitting there taking pot shots with the Archer. But I did feel a little bit cheesy here, because he's kind of stuck, and maybe he just wants to keep firing that weapon, but it kind of seemed like he was stuck doing it until perhaps his health reached a certain point. Ornstein, that's his name. The video's too small for me to read, but I remembered. I hoped and thought there had to be some spot where you could sneak arrows in on this Titanite demon. Some of the, between a lot of the pillars, it didn't seem to work. But there you go, right there. I don't feel bad about that at all, because with all those bleachers in there, it's really hard to move around. Having gotten the Lord Vessel and the ability to warp to any bonfire, it is of course time to come back here and farm for various shards, which is kind of fun with the archer. Nice and quick and interesting. These miniature Taurus demons aggro really easily from a long distance. But by no means had I intended to aggro both at once.
Banished those two hollows, did you? It pains me to think of the trouble my failings have caused.
That is a shooting gallery. Stagger them every time, and they can't even get off the fireball. Looks like I'm still using the longbow. Perhaps soon after I'll go to New Londo lower and get the composite bow. Or maybe I already had it and just hadn't upgraded it. But this is what I'm talking about. That's fun. Then we have the washing katana. Washing pole. I guess because you can hang clothes on it. So I had a divine shortbow, which I, in theory, could have gotten rid of the skeletons with, but it's hell trying to hit the skeletons, shoot them. They roll around so much. So I was lucky to get this demon spear.
I am deeply indebted, for it was not within my power to save Vince or Nico. I cannot thank you enough. In case you have not heard, I am Rhea of Thorland. I only wish there was some way I could help you. But I am inexperienced and I only know the art of miracles. If that could be of any help, speak to me again.
I came here for a good old dragon fight. Good old fashioned, ancient fashioned dragon fight. No cheese, no tricks, no gimmicks, no hiding in certain spots where the flame can't hit you. Just using the bow to take down a dragon, generally. Seems like the classical way to do it. That was using the composite bow. Faster drawing speed. Lightning infused. Good chance here to practice on the... In the forest, where one expects to find a bow hunter. So, I have turned tail and run from the DLC. I gave up trying to use archery on the Knight of the Taurus. Supposedly he gets staggered with headshots, and I never saw that happen. And I ended up putting on some heavy armor and getting the slow roll going, because I was intending on I was thinking I was going to have to start using melee weapons more to get through later parts of the game. So I got the armor, because Sky really isn't made to be in the thick of it. But I came back to this area to grab that dragon bow. Now I'm practicing it right by where you can buy the arrows, right by the giant. And, I was expecting it to have a long range, but it's pretty much the same as the long bow. It just hits a lot harder. And of course, it's more limited as far as what you can do, because you have to drive it into the ground. It's just a gigantic bow, it's not as wieldy. But it's fun. Feels like a powerhouse. That curved greatsword I'm holding is a crystal Miracumo, which I presumed I would be using on the final boss. I didn't think archery would be easy against him. I didn't want to fight him over and over until I learned how to do it. So I took the Miracumo and I'm farming these knights so I can learn how to use it. But ironically, I did end up fighting that boss a number of times. Yeah, I think the Miracumo was just too slow. And I will end up using a weapon I'm more familiar with against the final boss in a bit. A faster one. Now, what killed him? The fall? That would have been cool if it was my sword, but I think he died before I got there. But yes, we've got fire versus fire. I'm using the now flame-infused washing pole. Nice reach, somewhat fast. And had to relearn how to parry, because with this archer I haven't been doing much of that. But this took my parrying to the next level. Got me ready for my fourth character, which is a cleric. And that is actually turning out really cool. Some pretty cool stuff you can do, and it's like a tank. And to finish off the video, this is New Game Plus. Just to get some archery back into the footage. Using fire arrows with the lightning composite bow.